We have seen previously how, as a part of the European Green New Deal, the EU has laid out some of the building blocks needed to achieve the energy transition. This includes addressing mobility, industry, and other significant sectors of the economy. However, these are just a few of the steps the EU aims to take. This video will detail to you the rest of these building blocks and what the EU hopes to achieve. How does the EU hope to meet the energy transition goals it has set? In addition to what we have already seen, the EU aims to mainstream sustainability in all EU policies, preserve and restore ecosystems and biodiversity, reduce pollution in the environment, and finance the Green New Deal to ensure a just transition. These steps are no less important than any of the others, and all of them will play a vital role in achieving the energy transition. Government legislation will be a key part of the energy transition, necessary to bring in many regulations and policy changes on a national and international level. New technologies will be developed, new buildings will be built, and while all this is happening, it is important to integrate sustainability into this progress. Currently, the impact on the environment of any proposal or project is not considered the highest priority. However, by making sustainability core to all government or company impact assessments, it is possible to integrate it into future legislative proposals and ensure that these considerations become common practice. This involves not only analysing the economic benefits of any proposal, but also the social, environmental, and health benefits. Although not directly related to the energy transition, another important factor for mitigating climate change is preventing biodiversity loss. Biodiversity loss has been a global problem for decades now as human energy consumption expands. Climate change and other factors can result in the loss of habitat and biodiversity, which in turn prevents the absorption of carbon into nature. This results in a feedback loop, increasing the effects of climate change. However, what if we were to turn this around? If we aim to restore biodiversity in nature across the globe, this can help absorb carbon emissions and thus mitigate the effects of climate change. It has been shown that biodiversity-rich areas can also reduce air pollution, public health problems, and the effects of extreme weather events like heat waves and floods. Currently, the EU is failing to meet its targets to reduce biodiversity loss, but with the Green New Deal, it aims to push for a more ambitious global agreement. The EU's goal is to halve biodiversity loss by 2030. To achieve this, the EU will need to increase the size of protected natural areas and implement strategies that allows biodiversity to recover. Regulations will also be needed to phase out the use of hazardous chemicals that can damage biodiversity. Reducing pollutions caused by these chemicals and other harmful substances is another EU goal, aiming to have zero pollution for water, air, and soil by 2050. This involves eliminating chemical pollution in waterways and putting strict regulations on the disposal of pharmaceuticals. In this case, pollution into the air does not just refer to the emission of greenhouse gases, but instead to other forms of pollution such as particulate matter and nitrous oxides. These are released with the burning of fossil fuels and can have serious impacts on the health of those living in polluted areas. Although the EU's goal to reduce greenhouse gas emissions will also reduce air pollutant, more steps can be taken before then, such as putting regulations on the pollution emitted from vehicles and electricity generation plants. Finally, financing and investment is needed to drive the energy transition. Many technologies key to the energy transition are still currently in the developing phase, such as hydrogen storage, battery storage, and carbon-free industry. These technological advancements are important for achieving the energy transition. So continued funding is needed for research into these technologies. There is a large potential for new innovation and new solution to emerge in the next 10 years. The EU hopes that by financing this innovation, it can become a global leader for technological advancements. In these videos, we have shown you some of the building blocks to bring about the energy transition within the EU. Although these building blocks will be similar all over the world, each country has its own agenda and targets to achieve depending on the needs of the people in that country. What steps is your country taking to bring about the energy transition?